Now I can just click, right? Okay, here's Charlie. You should have this information already on here. I'm reviewing it because you need to choose one. Don't try and do more than one theme. So as I'm clicking through these, make sure you start thinking of a character. Yesterday I said, think of a character that you're relating to in the book. It can be a major or a minor, because Dickens is known for his characterizations. I mean, just Humbleshook alone is a great name. You could write an entire essay about that. But he might not fit as easily into one of these theme categories. And if you want to do a different theme category, come and talk to me about it, because these are just the ones I pulled. There's lots of themes going on, as those of you that have been reading Spark Notes know. So make it easy. You know, I put love at the top because it's the most obvious one in there. The relationship between Pip and Estella is an easy write. It's not rocket science, you get it. Trust and mistrust is an easy one. Look at the convicts and Pip. The convict. And we now know his name. His name is, everybody? Abel Magwitch. Okay, great name. What's a Magwitch? I know it sounds like a sandwich, but not quite. Nature versus nurture. Okay, was Pip born the way he is, or was it his environment that nurtured him? Where is there evidence of duplicity? That idea of the dualism, the dichotomy, duplicity, they're all intertwined. Everything's got a good or a bad side to it. There's so many of those themes in so much of literature. And lastly, scorn and its aftermath. Because when Estella scorns Pip, it has consequences. Some that he didn't even know he was going to feel, as you were finding out as we're continuing to read this. All right? So let's take a look at how you're going to begin your body paragraphs. This is what you worked on with the definitions and drawings. Paradoxically, figuratively, metaphorically, ironically, and again, you want to choose one of the three. Don't try and do all three. And symbolically. Now, here's where you can cut down your writing, in that body paragraphs can be 3 to 5 sentences. They can be a lot shorter than your introductory paragraph. And we'll get to that one in just a second. So this doesn't necessarily have to be long, but what I'm looking for here is what we started the year with, how to read and write effectively. Okay, because you're going to get to do this essay again and again until it meets standard. And we only have till June the 19th. Okay, next one. Dickens's point of view. There's a lot of discussion. What does that mean? Point of view about the human condition. What is he telling you about life, about human nature, about yourself? That's why we read literature, because we identify with people. We've got these movies going on in our heads, and we go, wow, you know, this is really a good book. I'm reading The Graveyard right now by Neil Gaiman. Anybody read it? Was at the book fair for Read Across Timbercrest. And I started it yesterday when I was proctoring the Wassel. And it's a great book. It starts out with he's got a knife in his hand. Man, I was hooked from the first sentence. Great book. I read it aloud to the 8th graders yesterday too. They thought it was pretty good. Okay, next one. Next slide.
You have to keep clicking. I don't know what you did to this PowerPoint, but it took several clicks to get to the next slide.
I didn't do anything. Not me. Never operator error. All right. There we go. All right. Begin each paragraph with one of the transitions. Here's what I'm really looking for. I don't want you to retell me the novel. I want you to tell me what you think of the novel. And that's called higher order thinking skills. And support with specific examples. If you think Pip's an idiot for falling in love with Estella, fine. But you've got to give me specific examples where he behaves idiotically. Does that make sense? Okay? And that's where your questions that you answered yesterday can help. And there. Use one quote per body paragraph. I put this, use the short internal citations, but I'm going to not require that. Okay, because you don't have a copy of the book, and every website is different, so I don't know where you're reading it. So just ignore that. But use lift the words right out of the text. So you're going to have to go back online, and when you find an example, lift it, just put it in quotes, and you'll be fine. Okay? Because I want you to use some of the Victorian words they use. Well, I just put this in for fun. Give me, said Joe, a good book or a good newspaper, and sit me down afore a good fire, and I ask no better. Great expectations. Begin with your fragment. So here's your opening paragraph. Jaron, why don't I see you writing any of this down? Pip, Miss Havisham, Estella, Magwitch. I've been telling you all year to work with the 3-fragment opening. In fact, what was I reading the other day where they used it? One writer. Some must have been on a website. And it was really cool. I thought, oh, this guy knows how to use a 3-fragment opening.
Reading literature like a professor.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's probably exactly what it was. Dickens, great classic, much read, Great Expectations. Use italics when you use the title, okay? In here. You can underline it if you want, but most of you forget to do that. So when you refer to Great Expectations, put it in italics. Add a thesis with supporting themes. Answering the so what question. Duncan, there are 2 handouts on the top table there called What is a Thesis or Thesis Statement. Hold those up and flash those. Flash those around. Stand up. Come on. Be Vanna. You can do it. Be Vanna. Be Vanna. Those are the questions. There's 2. You got 2 in one hand. Put the what's in your left hand down, because those are the questions. There you go. If you still don't know what a thesis statement is, these are 2 websites, and they're on my links page on the website. So you should be able to write a good thesis with 3 supporting examples. And again, there's actually 4 in the very first sentence there. Pip, Miss Havisham, Estella, and Magwitch. Next one. 3 to 5 sentences with your chosen transition. They don't have to be in the order they occur that I wrote them in, starting with paradoxical and going down to the POV. You can mix them up however you choose. Conclusion. Starting and beginning are the 2 hardest things when you write. Okay, so I've given you the fragment starting idea. I'm going to conclude with what's the most important idea or concept you've learned by reading Great Expectations. That's one thing to discuss. What final thought or question do you want to leave your audience pondering? Your audience is myself. I'm going to be reading these. Okay? Is Dickens, oops, that's a typo in there, a genius? It shouldn't be Dickens's. Oop! Is Dickens a genius? Why? You can answer that question as your concluding paragraph. What I don't want you to say is Great Expectations was a boring book. I know what you're thinking. I've done this before. Hated it. Maybe, just maybe, you've read something else by Charles Dickens. Christmas Carol, because if you were in 7th grade here, you read the Christmas Carol with him. You could compare his style of writing with the Christmas Carol, which is probably his most famous work, I think. Maybe not, others would disagree, because David Copperfield and Oliver Twist get a lot of publicity. But I think universally, probably most people know Christmas Carol in that one. So those are 3 ideas to help you with your conclusion. You can use another idea if you've got something else as you're developing your paper. So here's what I suggest you do. I would, sometime over the weekend, just sit down and belt out your beginning paragraph and put in your transitions, whatever order you want, and then maybe do an outline of a concluding paragraph. All right, and then next week we'll start working on developing those even more. So just sometime over the weekend when you're driving your parents crazy, just go to your computer and sit there and just let the ideas come out. Evan, you had a question.
So do you want to use all the transitions?
Yeah, you need to. You're gonna have at least that. You're gonna have at least 6. Well, you're going to have 6 body paragraphs.
Yeah.
Okay, Erica, what you got?
So for the conclusion, we have to have all 3 of those ideas, or just?
I would choose one. If you want to use all 3, you could. They could be 3 separate sentences right there, which could be a conclusion if you tie it in right. Yeah. Watch your word choices. I don't want you to use the word interesting. Make sure you're not exiting when you mean exciting. Words of death are going to be, boy, I'm going to come down on you like a ton of bricks if you turn this paper in with words of death on it. That's just not acceptable. Might not even give you an idea. Maybe I'll make it with 10,000 points. That way, if they get a BS, they're going to fail this class.
That's good.
Yeah. I'll think of something creative. Rig, you had a question. You're okay? Oh, I answered your question. Good. All right. Any other questions before we move on to the recap, which I'm going to do really quickly? Going once, twice. Okay, so I'll post this on my website tonight so you can review it, because I know what it's like when you get home and then you go, what did she say? Huh? Huh? And then you can always ask me again on Monday too.